This is ASP.NET Core MVC Learn and Practice course. Today in this lesson, I will guide you how to work with the custom endpoint routing for only one controller in ASP.NET Core 3.1. The current time, the latest version of .NET Core is 3.1, and then I will go ahead to guide you how to work with this version. Okay, let's get started. Let's open Visual Studio, and you take a look into the Solution Explorer. Navigate to the View folder. In the View folder, you see that we have a News folder. In this new folder, we have index file, which we were created in the previous lesson. Before updating the code in this lesson, so let me run this website first. Go to the debug and click on Start without debugging. And this is the home page. So now I want to access the news index file, edit the URL. I will type in the news, and then it will direct me to the index of the news. This is the default URL of the news controller. I want when the user type in the browser with different URL, it will also direct me to the index file of the news. So how to do it? That means in order to tie in the different URL, but we still get the same content of the news controller, we have to do some customization for the endpoint routing in the ASP.NET Core. Okay, and before going to do updating for the endpoint routing, I will go ahead to add the news into the navigation. Go to the layout, and I will add the news before the contact. News, and the controller, it should be the news. The action should be index. Run it again, and you see on the top navigation, we have the news has been added into the menu. Click on this one. It will direct me to the news index file. So now, in order to do some customization for the routing, we have to open the startup.cs file. Scroll down, you go to the Endpoints section. At the end of the startup file, you take a look into this code. By default, this will be using the pattern for the controller equal home and action here equal index, and other optional EID. And so here, let me add new shortcode before the default option here. I will have the endpoint dot map controller route. I will have the name. It should be the news. You can enter any name, yeah, but it should be meaningful. For the pattern, for example, I want to open the news page with the CNVS news. Let me copy the URL, and then it will be easier for me to explain more detail. So, for example, if I want to display the content of the index file for news controller, I have to type in the URL like this. But for now, I don't want to type in the news. After the slash here, I want to type in the VS news. It will be display the same content when I access into the news. Okay. And paste the content below. And I will have the news. I will have the controller equal the news, and the action will be equal the index. So now let me run this again. View start without debugging. You see here, when you hover into the news on the menu, you take a look into the bottom left-hand side. The URL has been changed to the .vs news. Let me click on this one. It will direct me to the index of the news. Let me open the previous URL. You see that? Let me do some comparison. .vs news. It would be display the same content. Let me try to update some text inside the index. Let me refresh this one. The second one. So that means for now, we have just finished the customization for the endpoint routing for only one controller. So here, when you hover to the news, the URL on the left-hand side here, it will be also changed to the .vs news. But when you hover to other menu, like privacy, contact, it still gives the default format of the URL. Still home and contact, privacy. So I think that's all for today. Let's have some time for break and we will continue to learn other lesson.